when I went there, I was so inspired by them, I knew I'd make multiple trips. And this show is actually 2 trips, and they were multi-day trips. But the subject was so great and so inspiring and so meaningful, and it just cried out for me to do my art with it, do my, when I look at a tree, I saw something, and I just wanted to show people what I saw. Not what was there, but what I saw in my mind. Because I look at things, and my goal is to just record the information I need to make what I have in my mind when I'm in the field. I chose black and white for all the large prints and the ones that are of whole trees and forest areas, because the bristlecones are so old, and it just seemed right to use black and white. Now the smaller prints I did in color because they're abstracts. And what attracted to me was the lichens that go from yellow, orange, red into black. They attracted me so much that I had to bring them out. I had to increase the color and show people that. I think the prints would probably stand in black and white, but I just felt color did a lot more justice to those images, as opposed to the full images of the trees, which black and white was just the medium for them. The metal prints were a choice because of the depth that they seem to give to the image. They have a tremendous black, and the whites are just luminous. They almost shine back at you. And so it was just a no-brainer to pick metal for the prints of the show here. The metal process is quite interesting in itself. It's they make a matrix, which is a reverse print with digital means, and then that is put on the aluminum, and aluminum that I use has a white coating on it. And then they put great pressure on it and high heat, and it's actually infused to the metal. The prints can be wiped clean with a soft cotton cloth, no problem at all. The prints that you see on the wall in the show here, I imagine almost none of them are less than about 8 hours of work on them, and some of them are many, many, many times more. One of them I printed 4 different times because I had something in mind how I wanted it to look. And I put no less than 10 or 15 hours each time on it. At the end, I've got my options. I do a little different type of printing on the printer for my black and whites when I'm making paper prints. For the metal prints, I add a little color to them sometimes when I send them to the lab, because I know the printing process varies a little bit. But basically, it's a lot of hours to make just one print. That time spent on a print is mostly with tonal values to get the blacks where I want them, the whites where I want them, some mid-tones, raising them up, lowering them down, burning, dodging, very fine. Sometimes I'm just working on a little tiny section of the print. But I do not replace skies. I don't bring in outside elements, ever. I will remove some distractions around the border of prints and things like that. If I got, let's say, a branch sticking in, I might take that branch out, stuff like that. But basically, I keep the integrity of the original image. When I'm in the field, and this goes for anybody who wants to be a photographer, if you find something that interests you, you need to analyze it. What is it that interests me about this? Then you need to explore it. I walk around things. I look at them on all sides. I want to find the best view, the best light. And then when I find the best angle, then I look for the best composition. And how am I going to guide the viewer's eye into this print? What am I going to do? Can I maybe work in the darkroom to help guide the viewer's eye? Or can I find a trail? I love using trails because they take people along a journey. And so there's quite a long process in the field even. Sometimes you'll hit something and you'll shoot it right away. And then you'll take another picture and it'll get a little better, and you'll move and you'll take another picture and you get better. And I'll keep photographing till I know I've got something really good, because it's that process. It's all part of everything from the darkroom to the field is all part of a process. I've gone out and had days where I've taken hardly any pictures, other days where I've taken a lot of pictures. I used to say if I got 1 out of 100 was great. Now I try to get 1 out of 2. And this shows an example of that. There's about 50% of the images that I took in the bristlecones on the walls in this show. A lot of people ask me, what camera do you use? And I tell them simply I use a Sony. And the only reason I use a Sony is that's what I started. I bought a Minolta digital camera, and Sony bought Minolta, and so I just stayed with the company. And Sony makes a good camera, but I will tell you that everybody else, Canon, Nikon, Olympus, everybody makes a good camera. And so it's not really the camera, it's what you do with the camera. The camera I look at as just a tool. And I like the Sony. It's a mirrorless that I use, so it's small and it's easy to walk with. And it's kind of funny because I use a great big tripod and a little tiny camera. But the tripod I feel is real important for stability. And I do a lot of things. Occasionally, there's one print in the show here that I shot 3 pictures of at different focuses, and so I could carry the depth of field through the entire print. And I just combined them all 3 to make a print. There's no HDRs in the show because the Sony has a long tonal range, one of the advantages of shooting the Sony. But for the most part, rock solid tripod and a good DSLR or mirrorless camera is what you need. There's one photograph here that I was coming down and I was looking at, and there was a cloud coming into the frame, and I said, oh, that's gorgeous. And I set my camera up on a tripod, knowing I'm gonna wait a few minutes here, not too long. The crowd was moving. I walked around the other side of the tree, and what I saw was, wow. And I said, oh, that's my shot. And I went back to the camera and I looked, I said, no, this is as good. So I took that shot and I scrambled to get to the other side of the tree before things changed. Luckily, nothing changed, and I got the second shot. It's 20 miles off of 395. It's easy, it's paved all the way. You're up at 10,100 feet when you're up there, and boy, it's a breath and it's an inspiring to the eyes to look at everything there.